Imagine a world where everyone is intellectual geniuses, where there are constant developments in technology and science, but a place that lacks human connection. A place where everyone creates new things, but no one can work together. This ability to perceive emotions, to access and generate emotions, so as to assist thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions, so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth, is called emotional intelligence, as theorized by psychologists Mayer and Salovey. Daniel Goleman stated that the five parts of emotional intelligence are self-regulation, self-awareness, social skills, empathy, and motivation, as reported by the Sonoma State University. Today, myself, Morgan, Nick, Leanne, and Caitlin, respectively, will be explaining what each of these components mean and analyzing how they relate to interpersonal communication. Self-regulation, also known as self-management, is the ability to control by oneself or itself, especially such control as exercised independently of the environment, as defined by dictionary.com. In this context, it means that one is able to control their reactions and emotions in the face of an emotional or stressful situation. Usually, it means not reacting to an insult by insulting the speaker or staying calm in a dangerous situation. Developing self-regulation usually starts at an early age, as parents, teachers, and other adults begin to model appropriate behavior. Modeling calm, effective communication can help the child understand the appropriate response to stress and emotional situations. Once the child has reached an age where they begin to experience more emotional conflicts outside of the home, the child must learn to develop their self-regulation mentally. Teaching a child that they are responsible for their words and actions, regardless of their feelings, can help them to make a connection between unnecessary emotions in an exchange. Walking the child through the process of calming themselves in the middle of an emotional conflict, or teaching them triggers to help them de-escalate the situation before it becomes too emotional, can help the child begin to mentally try these techniques without guidance as they get older. According to a study conducted by Kathleen Vose and Natalie Cisneros, securing and maintaining belonging are motivating factors in self-regulation. This implies that self-regulation is learned by an individual's social needs. As the children become teenagers, there are significant changes in the brain as it continues to grow, affecting decision making and self-regulation, which may account for some of their more impulsive behaviors. As children grow, they are learning what behaviors are socially acceptable and which are not. Almost everyone participates in some kind of self-regulation when they are talking to others. Some people don't say something because they don't want to hurt another's feelings, or someone else may stay quiet and listen to stories from the elderly, even if they don't want to. In both cases, there is some self-regulation going on. Staying quiet to not hurt someone else's feelings may not always be the best course of action, especially if they're asking for the truth. For example, if your friend asks your opinion on their earrings, you may stay quiet and allow another friend to answer because you don't want to hurt their feelings or dim their excitement if you don't like them. However, if your friend asks for your opinion on a dress that she is thinking of buying, you may be more inclined to tell her that you don't like it so that she doesn't waste her money on it. Self-regulation is not about not expressing your opinion, but about knowing when and how to do it. While not everyone is good at this skill, it is important in interpersonal communication. Yelling in the middle of a fight is ineffective because neither person is truly listening to the other. But if at least one is able to regulate their tone, words, and behavior, there is most likely going to be effective communication. In fact, self-regulation may even be able to help avoid a fight in the first place. Along with self-regulation, self-awareness is an important component of emotional intelligence.
Self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. It is a psychological state where a person becomes the focus of their own attention. It has been proven that people are not born completely self-aware. They become significantly more self-aware at age 1, but it fully emerges at 18 months. There have been numerous tests to prove this, but the most famous was done by Lewis and Brooks Gunn. In their experiment, they took multiple babies ranging from newborns to 18-month-olds. They put red dots on their noses and held them in front of mirrors. Whichever babies reached for their own nose were declared self-aware. Those that reached for the reflection were not. Lewis and Brooks Gunn found that hardly any of the babies under 1 reached for their own nose. This is how they reached the conclusion that self-awareness emerges at the age of 1. However, they found that newborns can still distinguish between self and non-self touch. There are many different types of self-awareness. These levels begin at birth and continue until between ages 4 and 5. The levels are differentiation, situation, identification, permanence, and self-consciousness in that exact order. I found this information on verywell.com. The first level, differentiation, is the point where children become aware that what they see in the mirror is different from what is on the outside environment. The second level is situation. This is where children become aware that their self-produced movements can be seen in the mirror. They know that this is their own movements they are watching. Identification is the third level. This is when children recognize the reflection in the mirror as themselves, rather than someone staring back at them. The fourth level is permanence. In this level, they can not only identify themselves in the mirror, but they can identify themselves in pictures and home videos. But the last level is self-consciousness. At this level, they not only become aware of themselves and their own perspectives, but they are also aware of how they are in the minds of others. Apart from the levels of self-awareness, there are also different types. These types are public self-awareness and private self-awareness. In public self-awareness, people are aware of how they appear to others. This normally emerges when a person is at the center of attention. This is the type of self-awareness that makes people subject to social norms. They want to fit in, so they do whatever it takes to do whatever everybody else is doing. This can also make people distressed, anxious, and worried about how others think of them. The second type is private self-awareness. This happens when people become aware of some aspect of themselves in a private way. For example, getting butterflies in your stomach when your crush comes near, or feeling your stomach lurch when you forget to study for an important test. These two things are what make up self-awareness. Now that we've covered self-awareness, we will now move on to another component of emotional intelligence, social skills.
A social skill is any competence facilitating interaction and communication with others, where social rules and relations are created, communicated, and changed in verbal and nonverbal ways. The process of learning these skills is called socialization. For socialization, interpersonal skills are essential to relate to one another. Interpersonal skills are the interpersonal acts a person uses to interact with others. Wikipedia.org/wiki/social skills. Social skills are the tools that enable people to communicate and learn. Social skills build essential character like trustworthiness, respectfulness, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. These traits help build an internal moral compass, allowing individuals to make good choices in thinking and behavior. Resulting in social competence, social skills are goal-oriented with both main goals and sub-goals. For example, a workplace interaction initiated by a new employee with a senior employee will first contain a main goal. This will gather information, and then a sub-goal will be to establish a rapport in order to obtain the main goal. Social skills are significantly impaired in people suffering from alcoholism, ADHD, hyperkinetic disorder, autism, anxiety, and depression. The definition of these deficits are the failure to recognize and reflect social skills, a failure to model appropriate models, and failure to perform acceptable behavior in particular situations in relation to developmental and transitional stages. Social skills deficits are also a discouragement for children with behavioral challenges when it comes to adult adjustment. Social skills are learned behaviors that allow people to achieve social reinforcement. According to Schneider and Bryan, 1985, who conducted a meta-analysis of social skills, training procedures for training social skills had the largest effect size, followed by modeling, coaching, and social cognitive techniques. Behavior analysis prefer to use the term behavioral skills to social skills. Behavioral skills training to build social and other skills is used with a variety of populations, including in packages to treat addictions. Now that we have covered social skills, we will now move on to another component of our topic, emotional intelligence, empathy.
If you've ever heard the expression, walking in someone's shoes, then you're already somewhat familiar with the concept of empathy. Empathy is an important part of emotional intelligence. The word empathy has its origins in a German word, Einfühlung, which means in feeling. It was coined by the psychologist Theodor Lipps. Empathy, as described by Suzanne Keen in her book Empathy and the Novel, means to recognize others' feelings, the causes of those feelings, and to be able to participate in the emotional experience of an individual without becoming part of it. We tend to think mostly of ourselves, but most of us can empathize with other people when needed. According to an article in Psychology Today, the tendency to be egocentric is innate for human beings, but that a part of your brain recognizes a lack of empathy and autocorrects. The part that controls empathy and compassion is the cerebral cortex. Some people are more empathetic than others, and it has been said that some people, sociopaths for example, are incapable of empathy. Empathy is often a part of therapy for criminals. They are taught and encouraged to empathize with their victims, with the hope that this will likely lessen the chance that they might reoffend. So why is the ability to experience empathy so important? If you understand how people feel, then you can better understand their needs and how what you say and do will affect them. If you establish yourself as an empathetic person, you'll be more influential to those around you, because those people will see you as a caring person that can relate to them. Having empathy helps to understand other viewpoints, which will help with problem-solving skills. Empathy is important in the workplace also, especially in healthcare and other human service-related jobs, because people will consider their caregivers and doctors to be more competent if they are empathetic. Overall, being empathetic will help you resolve interpersonal conflict and form stronger relationships. Another important component to emotional intelligence is motivation.
Perfect leader, what comes to mind? I think of the passion, optimism, and a good mindset one needs to be the perfect leader. Motivation is one of the 5 personal skills of emotional intelligence, which includes the personal drive to improve and achieve goals. Motivation is the reason for one's actions, desires, needs, and behaviors that causes a person to act and want to repeat that behavior. The perfect leader will have the commitment to our goals, initiative to do something, and readiness to act on opportunities. Every time you face a challenge, Try to find at least one good positive thing about the situation. It may be something small, but there's always something positive. You just have to look for it. Motivation impacts interpersonal relationships by displaying efficient and effective methods that improve one's experience. Also allowing for effective communication by being a person with intellectual skills. The willingness to persistently try to improve oneself and engage in the pursuit of personally relevant and meaningful objective that leads to a rich and enjoyable life. Those are the 5 components to emotional intelligence.
As you have learned, all 5 components, self-regulation, self-awareness, social skills, empathy, and motivation, are crucial to our ability to communicate effectively with one another. In fact, studies done by Northern Virginia Community College have shown that individuals with a higher emotional intelligence have greater career success and have stronger personal relations than those with low emotional quotient. As you can see, without emotional intelligence, life would be a lonely, isolated existence in a world full of people.